In the vast expanse of the cosmos, where stars burned like ancient lanterns and planets danced in eternal orbits, there existed a realm known as Zarnix. This empire of advanced beings spanned across multiple galaxies, its power unfathomable to lesser civilizations. At the heart of this dominion ruled Queen Varina, a being whose very presence commanded both fear and reverence. Her silver skin shimmered with an otherworldly luminescence, while her 6 crystalline eyes could pierce through the darkest voids of space itself. The Zarnixian Empire had encountered countless species throughout their expansion, each more primitive than the last. To Varina and her kind, these encounters were merely exercises in demonstrating their superiority. They collected knowledge as one might collect pebbles on a beach, without particular interest or value. The humans of Earth, discovered during one of their routine explorations, proved no different from the myriad other species they had catalogued. In fact, they seemed particularly disappointing, with their fragile bodies and short lifespans. Queen Varina's private chambers aboard her flagship, the Celestial Spire, overlooked the captured blue planet through massive transparent walls. She watched with disdain as human cities sprawled across the surface, their lights flickering like dying embers against the darkness of space. "Pathetic," she murmured to her council members, her voice resonating with the authority of generations of rulers. "They multiply like vermin, yet possess neither the physical resilience nor the technological sophistication to warrant our attention." Her advisors, all high-ranking members of the Zarnixian elite, nodded in agreement. "Your Majesty speaks truth," intoned Commander Zarweke, his bioluminescent markings pulsing with affirmation. "Their weapons are primitive, their spacecraft laughable. Even their attempts at space exploration are clumsy and inefficient." The council chamber filled with soft chuckles that rippled through the air like distant thunder. Varina turned away from the view of Earth, her elegant form moving with fluid grace despite her imposing height. "We shall observe them for a while longer, but I see little value in further engagement. Their emotional nature makes them unpredictable, their loyalty fickle. They wage wars against their own kind over trivial matters, resources, beliefs, territories. Such behavior is beneath even the lowest caste of our society." Her words carried the weight of final judgment, though none dared to contradict their sovereign. Yet, as she dismissed her council and returned her gaze to the blue sphere, a peculiar sensation stirred within her. It wasn't curiosity, for she believed herself beyond such base emotions. Rather, it was a vague sense of dissatisfaction, a feeling that perhaps she was missing something significant about these creatures who clung so desperately to their fragile world. But the thought quickly dissipated as she reminded herself of the countless species who had fallen before the might of Zarnix, their grandest achievements reduced to mere footnotes in galactic history. On the surface of Earth, amidst the sprawling metropolis of New Chicago, Lieutenant Marcus Kane navigated the bustling streets with purpose. His military uniform, adorned with service medals reflecting years of dedication, drew respectful glances from civilians who recognized the mark of a warrior. Yet beneath his composed exterior lay a storm of emotions, memories of battles fought and comrades lost haunting his every step. Marcus's journey had begun in the rural outskirts of Illinois, where he'd grown up listening to his grandfather's tales of human perseverance during the early days of space exploration. Those stories had planted a seed within him, a desire not just to protect humanity, but to prove its worth against the vast unknown of the universe. When news of the Zarnixian observation fleet reached Earth's governments, Marcus had been among the first to volunteer for what many considered a suicide mission, establishing direct contact with the alien observers. His superiors had initially dismissed his enthusiasm as youthful naivety, pointing out the overwhelming technological gap between humans and the Zarnixians. But Marcus possessed something beyond tactical training and combat skills, an unshakable belief in the human spirit. He had witnessed firsthand how ordinary people could rise to extraordinary challenges, how fear could transform into courage under pressure, and how seemingly insurmountable odds could be overcome through sheer determination. As he entered the United Earth Defense Command Center, Marcus's mind replayed the recent classified briefings. The Zarnixians hadn't made any aggressive moves yet, but their superiority complex was evident in every transmission intercepted by human monitoring stations. Their language, deciphered through painstaking effort, revealed a culture that viewed other species as little more than curiosities to be studied and dismissed. "Kane," called General Hargrove from the command platform, "you're still insisting on this direct approach?" The general's gruff voice carried both frustration and reluctant admiration. We're talking about beings who can dismantle our entire defense network with a thought, and you want to challenge them face to face? Marcus stood at attention, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. With respect, sir, that's exactly why we need to make contact. If we hide behind our technology and fear, we'll only confirm their perception of us as weak. Someone needs to show them that humans aren't just numbers on their superior species chart. We're fighters, survivors, dreamers. The command center fell silent as officers processed his words. Many had families they'd sworn to protect, lives they weren't ready to sacrifice in what seemed like a futile gesture. Yet Marcus's conviction was infectious, his faith in humanity's potential unwavering. He knew the risks, understood the probable outcome, but something deep within told him that this confrontation was necessary. Not just for Earth's survival, but for proving that strength came in forms the Zarnixians couldn't comprehend. General Hargrove studied Marcus for a long moment before nodding slowly. "Prepare your team, Lieutenant. We'll give you 24 hours to make your case to High Command. But remember, Kane, if you're going to represent humanity, you'd better be prepared to fight for more than just our survival. You'll be fighting for our dignity." The celestial spire descended upon Earth's atmosphere with calculated precision, its massive form casting an ominous shadow over the western hemisphere. Queen Verina observed the approaching human vessel with mild curiosity, noting how its primitive design struggled against atmospheric resistance. The humans had accepted her invitation for dialogue, though she suspected their compliance stemmed more from desperation than genuine interest in diplomatic relations. When Lieutenant Marcus Kane stepped onto the designated meeting platform within the spire's reception chamber, even Verina had to acknowledge the unexpected display of composure. The human warrior stood tall despite the intimidating surroundings, his eyes meeting hers without flinching. Around them, Zarnixian guards maintained perfect formation, their crystalline weapons trained on the lone human representative. "You dare to approach me unarmed?" Verina's voice resonated through the chamber, carrying both amusement and disbelief. "Do you humans truly believe such gestures hold meaning? Your species has always been defined by its weakness, its reliance on tools and technology to compensate for inherent frailty." Marcus took a measured step forward, his voice clear and steady. "Your Majesty, we come not to demonstrate our technology, but to show you something far more fundamental. Humanity's strength doesn't lie in our weapons or defenses, but in our ability to stand firm when everything seems lost." Verina's crystalline eyes narrowed slightly, intrigued despite herself. "You speak boldly for someone so limited. Tell me, human, what makes your species worthy of my attention beyond your amusing persistence?" The question hung in the air, heavy with implication. Marcus met her gaze, channeling generations of human resilience into his response. "Worthy isn't something you measure by technological advancement alone. It's found in how we face challenges, how we protect what we love, and how we never stop striving for something greater. Your kind looks at our vulnerabilities and sees weakness. We call it opportunity, the chance to grow stronger, to adapt, to overcome." A ripple of movement passed through the assembled Zarnixians, their bioluminescent patterns shifting in response to this unprecedented display of defiance. Verina tilted her head, studying the human with renewed interest. Admirable rhetoric, but words mean little without action to support them. "Would you prove your claims, human warrior?" Marcus nodded, his hand instinctively reaching for the ceremonial blade at his side, a traditional symbol of Earth's united military forces. "Challenge me, your Majesty. Let us test which species truly understands the nature of strength." The chamber fell silent, the tension palpable as Verina considered his bold proposition. The Queen's crystalline eyes gleamed with a mixture of amusement and something deeper, a spark of genuine interest that hadn't surfaced in centuries of diplomatic encounters. She extended one of her elongated arms, her fingers terminating in razor-sharp talons that caught the chamber's light. "Very well, human. Let us see if your species' famed adaptability extends to physical combat. However, know this: should you fail, your planet will bear the consequences of your arrogance." Marcus acknowledged her warning with a slight bow, his military training keeping his expression neutral despite the gravity of the situation. Suddenly, the chamber's environment shifted dramatically. The floor beneath them transformed into a holographic representation of various terrains: dense forests, arid deserts, frozen tundras, each scenario designed to test different aspects of combat capability. The Zarnixian guards formed a perimeter, their weapons tracking every movement with mechanical precision. As the first challenge materialized around them, a dense jungle environment complete with simulated predators and treacherous terrain, Marcus felt his training kick in. Years of tactical experience melded with his natural instincts as he moved through the holographic foliage. Verina's movements, while graceful, betrayed her assumption that this would be an easy victory. She relied on her superior speed and strength, attempting to overwhelm him with direct assaults. But Marcus had studied every available piece of intelligence about Zarnixian physiology. He knew their enhanced senses could become a liability in chaotic environments. As Verina launched a series of precise strikes, Marcus utilized the jungle's complexity to his advantage. He triggered falling vines to obscure her vision, used mud to reduce her footing, and exploited her crystalline eye sensitivity to sudden light changes. Each successful evasion chipped away at the Queen's confidence, her attacks becoming increasingly aggressive and less calculated. The scene shifted unexpectedly to a zero-gravity environment, catching both combatants off guard. Here, Marcus's disadvantage became apparent. The Zarnixians were naturally adapted to space combat, their bodies maintaining perfect orientation without effort. Yet instead of panicking, Marcus demonstrated remarkable ingenuity. He used his momentum creatively, turning his supposed weakness into an asset. By deliberately spinning himself, he created unpredictable attack vectors that confused Verina's normally infallible reflexes. Throughout these trials, the observing Zarnixian council members exchanged subtle signals, their bioluminescent patterns conveying growing concern. Never before had a species managed to counter their queen's advantages so effectively. Commander Zryk, in particular, watched with increasing unease as Marcus continued to adapt, learning from each encounter and improving his strategy in real time. As the environmental challenges intensified, Verina began to grasp the true nature of human resilience. Marcus didn't rely on raw power or technological superiority. Instead, he demonstrated an uncanny ability to analyze situations, identify weaknesses, and exploit opportunities. When faced with overwhelming odds, he didn't falter, he evolved. Each defeat he suffered only fueled his determination, each victory reinforcing his belief in humanity's potential. The final trial brought them to a simulated urban battlefield, complete with collapsing structures and civilian holograms requiring protection. Here, Marcus's military training shone brightest. While Verina focused solely on direct confrontation, Marcus prioritized strategic positioning, using the environment to shield innocents and create ambush points. His actions spoke to a deeper understanding of warfare, one that valued preservation over domination, strategy over brute force. Through these encounters, something remarkable occurred. Verina found herself genuinely engaged in the conflict, her initial condescension giving way to professional respect. The human warrior before her wasn't just fighting for survival. He was demonstrating the very qualities he had spoken of earlier. Each time she thought she had cornered him, he would find a new way to turn the situation to his advantage. His tactics were unconventional, his responses creative, and his determination unwavering. The observing Zarnixians began to whisper among themselves, their established beliefs about human inferiority crumbling with each passing minute. Even Verina's most trusted advisors struggled to maintain their previous certainty about humanity's insignificance. The demonstration unfolding before them challenged fundamental assumptions about what constituted true strength and adaptability. As the final trial concluded, neither combatant emerged as a clear victor. Instead, something far more significant had transpired, a mutual recognition of capabilities that transcended simple notions of winning or losing. The seeds of doubt planted in Verina's mind began to sprout, challenging centuries of Zarnixian doctrine about species hierarchy and evolutionary superiority. In the aftermath of the trials, Queen Verina retreated to her private meditation chamber, her crystalline eyes reflecting the swirling patterns of distant nebulae visible through the transparent walls. For the first time in her long reign, uncertainty gnawed at the edges of her consciousness. The human warrior's performance had revealed flaws in Zarnixian philosophy that she could no longer ignore. Their rigid adherence to physical superiority and technological dominance had blinded them to alternative forms of strength, the very qualities that had allowed countless species to survive and thrive against overwhelming odds. Commander Zryk approached cautiously, his bioluminescent markings pulsing with concern. "Your Majesty," the Council grows restless. They demand a decision regarding Earth's status. Some suggest immediate annexation, while others advocate for complete isolation. His voice carried the weight of divided opinion among the Zarnixian elite. Varina turned slowly, her movements betraying the internal conflict raging within her. "And what do you suggest, Commander? Should we crush this species that dares to challenge our supremacy, or leave them to their primitive existence?" Her words carried an edge of genuine inquiry rather than rhetorical dismissal. Zryk hesitated before responding, choosing his words carefully. "Perhaps neither option serves our interests fully. The human warrior demonstrated capabilities we've never encountered before, not just in combat, but in their approach to problem-solving and adaptation. Our standard protocols may need re-evaluation." The admission hung in the air like charged particles before a storm. Varina moved to the chamber's central console, where recordings of the trials played in continuous loop. She watched Marcus Kane navigate impossible situations with creativity and determination. His human limitations transformed into assets through sheer willpower and intelligence. "For centuries, we've measured progress by physical evolution and technological advancement," she mused aloud. "Yet these humans have achieved something different. They've cultivated mental and emotional resilience to compensate for their shortcomings." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Lieutenant Marcus Kane faced his own turmoil. Despite his success in the trials, he knew the battle for humanity's future was far from over. The military command had convened an emergency session, with representatives from global powers debating the implications of his encounter with the Zarnixian Queen. Some viewed his actions as reckless provocation, while others saw them as a necessary statement of human capability. General Hargrove addressed the assembly, his voice carrying both pride and caution. "Lieutenant Kane has shown us that our strength lies not in matching the Zarnixians weapon for weapon, but in demonstrating what makes us uniquely human. However, we must prepare for whatever comes next. Their society operates on principles we barely understand, and while we've earned their attention, we haven't secured their respect." Marcus stood at the center of the room, feeling the weight of countless expectations pressing down upon him. The faces surrounding him reflected a spectrum of emotions: hope, fear, determination, and doubt. He knew that his single-handed efforts, however successful, represented only the beginning of humanity's greatest challenge. The Zarnixians wouldn't abandon their superiority complex easily, and their next move could determine Earth's fate. As both species contemplated their next steps, an uneasy truce settled over the situation. The Zarnixian fleet maintained its position in Earth's orbit, neither advancing nor retreating. Regular communications channels remained open, though each exchange carried underlying tensions. Scientists and diplomats worked tirelessly to bridge the vast cultural divide, while military forces prepared for scenarios ranging from peaceful coexistence to full-scale invasion. Queen Varina initiated a series of private transmissions to Marcus, though neither admitted to the significance of these exchanges. Through carefully worded messages, they explored concepts of strength, survival, and progress. The human warrior's insights forced the Queen to reconsider centuries-old doctrines, while Varina's perspectives challenged Marcus to think beyond Earth's immediate concerns. The situation reached a critical juncture when unusual energy readings began emanating from the Zarnixian flagship. Human monitoring stations detected patterns suggesting either preparations for departure or mobilization for conflict. Neither interpretation offered comfort, as both possibilities carried profound implications for humanity's future. The gathered military leaders debated whether to view these developments as threat or opportunity, while scientists scrambled to interpret the data accurately. In the midst of this uncertainty, Marcus received an unexpected visitor at the command center. An unauthorized shuttle had penetrated Earth's security perimeter, bringing with it a single Zarnixian envoy bearing a personal message from Queen Varina. The contents of that message would alter the course of interstellar relations forever, forcing both species to confront uncomfortable truths about their respective natures and challenging long-held beliefs about what it truly meant to be strong. As the Zarnixian envoy delivered Queen Varina's message, the chamber fell into an electric silence. The communication contained neither threat nor concession, but rather an invitation to participate in a series of joint missions across contested sectors of space. These missions would require cooperation between human and Zarnixian teams, each facing challenges that neither species could overcome alone. The implications of this proposal rippled through both civilizations. Among the Zarnixian Council, Dissent grew louder. Traditionalists argued that partnering with humans would undermine their empire's supremacy, while a growing faction of reformists saw potential in combining Zarnixian technological prowess with human adaptability. Similar divisions emerged on Earth, where political leaders debated the wisdom of trusting their former adversaries. Marcus found himself at the center of this evolving drama, chosen to lead the human contingent in these unprecedented joint operations. As he prepared his team, he grappled with conflicting emotions. The respect he'd earned from Queen Verina during their trials now carried the weight of representing all humanity in these critical missions. Each decision he made could either strengthen the fragile bond between species or shatter it completely. The first mission led them to a derelict space station caught in the gravitational pull of a collapsing star. Its ancient technology contained knowledge both civilizations desperately needed, but accessing it required navigating lethal radiation fields and unstable structural integrity. As humans and Zarnixians worked together, old prejudices clashed with new understanding. Zarnixian engineers marveled at human improvisation skills, while human technicians learned to appreciate the elegance of Zarnixian precision engineering. Back on Earth, public opinion swung wildly between hope and fear. Media coverage of the joint missions sparked heated debates about humanity's place in the galaxy. Some saw these collaborations as proof of human worth, while others viewed them as dangerous compromises that threatened Earth's sovereignty. Political tensions escalated as nations argued over resource allocation and mission priorities. Queen Verina faced equally formidable challenges within her own ranks. Her decision to pursue cooperation with humans had ignited a power struggle among the Zarnixian elite. Ancient protocols governing species interaction were being rewritten, and not everyone welcomed these changes. Commander Zryk found himself torn between loyalty to his queen and duty to preserve Zarnixian traditions. His bioluminescent patterns often displayed conflicting colors, reflecting his internal conflict. As the missions progressed, both species encountered phenomena that defied their combined understanding. Mysterious artifacts appeared in their path, each containing fragments of knowledge that neither civilization could fully comprehend alone. These discoveries suggested the existence of even older, more advanced civilizations, entities that might view both humans and Zarnixians as equally insignificant. The realization forced both species to reconsider their relative positions in the cosmic hierarchy. The relationship between Marcus and Queen Verina evolved into something neither had anticipated. Their initial adversarial dynamic transformed into a complex partnership built on mutual respect and shared purpose. Through their interactions, they began to recognize parallels between their leadership styles. Verina's absolute authority mirrored in Marcus's unwavering commitment to his team, and Marcus's democratic approach reflected in Verina's willingness to consider alternative viewpoints. Yet beneath this surface cooperation, deeper questions emerged. What did true equality between species look like? How could two civilizations with such fundamentally different approaches to survival find common ground? Most importantly, could their growing understanding withstand the inevitable conflicts that lay ahead? As they prepared for their most ambitious mission yet, exploring a mysterious region of space where physics itself seemed to break down, both Marcus and Verina understood that their choices would shape not just their immediate futures, but potentially the destiny of both their species. The situation reached a pivotal moment when both Earth's leadership and the Zarnixian Council demanded concrete results from the joint missions. Success stories from previous operations had temporarily silenced critics, but mounting costs and increasing risks tested the resolve of both species. Marcus received orders that left him little room for maneuver, while Queen Verina faced unprecedented pressure from her traditionalist advisors to terminate the cooperative efforts. During a tense planning session aboard the Celestial Spire, Marcus presented a bold proposal. Recent discoveries suggested the existence of an ancient gateway network that could revolutionize space travel for both species. Activating this network required simultaneous contributions from human and Zarnixian technology. Neither species possessed the complete solution alone. The catch: the activation sequence would temporarily disable all defensive systems, leaving both fleets vulnerable to unknown threats. Queen Verina listened intently, her crystalline eyes reflecting the gravity of the decision. "You ask us to trust you completely, human. To expose our most advanced vessels to potential danger based on theoretical calculations." Her voice carried both skepticism and reluctant admiration for Marcus's audacity. "It's not just about trust, Your Majesty," Marcus responded, leaning forward. It's about proving that our combined strengths create something greater than the sum of our parts. Your technology provides the precision we lack, while our adaptability compensates for your rigidity. Together, we might achieve what neither species could alone. The chamber erupted in heated debate. Zarnixian commanders argued that Marcus's plan amounted to gambling with their empire's security, while human representatives worried about compromising Earth's defenses. Amidst the chaos, Commander Zarwike made an unexpected intervention. Drawing from his extensive combat simulations, he presented evidence showing how human improvisational tactics had consistently outperformed Zarnixian predictive models in crisis situations. As the discussion intensified, an urgent transmission interrupted proceedings. Automated sensors had detected unusual activity near the proposed activation site, energy signatures matching those of the mysterious artifacts they'd encountered before. The timing couldn't be coincidence. Both species faced a choice: abandon the mission and potentially lose their chance at technological breakthrough, or proceed despite the risks and work together to face whatever awaited them. Marcus and Verina exchanged a glance that conveyed volumes of unspoken understanding. In that moment, they both recognized that their decision would define the future relationship between their species. The human warrior and the alien queen, once opponents in a trial of strength, now stood united at a crossroads that would determine whether cooperation or conflict would shape interstellar relations for generations to come. The activation site loomed before them, a swirling nexus of energy that defied conventional physics. Marcus and Queen Verina stood side by side on the observation deck of the Celestial Spire, their respective fleets arrayed in formation around the anomaly. The tension was palpable, not just among their crews but within themselves as they prepared to execute the plan that could either unite their species or doom them both. "Final checks," Marcus said into his communicator, his voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "All teams confirm readiness." The human contingent responded with precision, their voices echoing through the comm channels. On the Zarnixian side, Commander ZRYK relayed similar reports, though his tone carried an uncharacteristic edge of uncertainty. Queen Verina turned to Marcus, her crystalline eyes shimmering with a mixture of resolve and something softer, perhaps trust. "Lieutenant Kane," she began, her voice resonating with authority yet tinged with vulnerability, "if this fails, my people will hold me accountable. But I have come to believe that failure is not inherent in your species. It is something you overcome. I must trust that same resilience will guide us now." Marcus met her gaze, unwavering. "Your Majesty, if this succeeds, it won't just be a victory for humans or Zarnixians. It will prove that strength isn't about dominance. It's about finding common ground, even when everything seems impossible." His words hung in the air, heavy with meaning, as the countdown to activation began. The process unfolded with breathtaking complexity. Human engineers worked seamlessly alongside Zarnixian technicians, their combined expertise bridging gaps neither group could span alone. Energy conduits pulsed with light, intertwining human adaptability with Zarnixian precision. For the first time, the two species operated not as separate entities but as one cohesive unit, their strengths harmonizing in ways neither had anticipated. But then, the unexpected happened. As the gateway network began to stabilize, the mysterious energy signatures detected earlier surged violently. A massive shockwave rippled through space, destabilizing the fragile balance of the activation sequence. Alarms blared across both fleets, and chaos erupted. "Shields are down," shouted a human operator aboard the command vessel. "We're exposed." Commander ZRYK's voice crackled over the shared channel. "Energy readings are off the scale. We've triggered something ancient and hostile." Queen Verina moved swiftly to the central console, her movements fluid yet urgent. "Divert all available power to containment fields. Lieutenant Kane, we need your improvisational skills now more than ever." Marcus didn't hesitate. He barked orders to his team, directing them to reroute auxiliary systems and create makeshift barriers using debris from nearby asteroids. The human fleet executed his commands with practiced efficiency, while Zarnixian vessels provided precise targeting support to reinforce the defenses. Together, they formed a shield strong enough to withstand the initial surge, but the real threat was still emerging. From the depths of the anomaly, a colossal construct materialized, a hulking machine of unknown origin, its surface etched with alien symbols that glowed ominously. It radiated an aura of malevolence, scanning the assembled fleet with cold, mechanical intelligence. Both humans and Zarnixians froze, their previous differences rendered irrelevant in the face of this new adversary. This wasn't part of the plan, Marcus muttered under his breath, his mind racing for solutions. Beside him, Queen Verina clenched her fists, her bioluminescent markings flickering with agitation. "We underestimated what we were dealing with," she admitted, her voice tinged with frustration. "But we cannot afford to falter now. Our survival depends on unity, not division." As the machine advanced, emitting pulses of destructive energy, Marcus and Verina devised a desperate strategy. They would use the very instability of the gateway network against the construct, triggering a controlled collapse that might trap it within the anomaly. However, executing this plan required perfect synchronization and absolute trust. Human vessels form a perimeter around the anomaly. Marcus commanded, "Zarnixian ships, focus on channeling energy into the core. If we can overload the system at the right moment, we can seal the breach." Queen Verina addressed her fleet, her voice commanding yet filled with conviction. "This is our chance to prove that cooperation transcends suspicion. Follow Lieutenant Kane's lead, he understands the chaos better than any of us." The combined forces sprang into action, their movements choreographed like a symphony of survival. Human pilots maneuvered with daring agility, drawing fire from the construct while Zarnixian engineers fine-tuned the energy flow. Despite the chaos, there was an undeniable rhythm to their efforts, a testament to how far they had come since their initial confrontations. Finally, the moment arrived. The anomaly teetered on the brink of collapse, its energy spiraling out of control. Marcus gave the order, "Now, channel everything into the core." Both fleets poured their remaining resources into the effort, their collective willpower driving the final push. The construct roared in defiance, unleashing a devastating blast that threatened to overwhelm them. But just as hope seemed lost, the anomaly imploded, swallowing the machine in a brilliant flash of light. When the dust settled, silence reigned. The anomaly was gone, leaving only empty space behind. Exhausted but victorious, the assembled fleet assessed the damage. Losses had been incurred, but the alliance had held firm. More importantly, the experience had forged a bond between humans and Zarnixians that no amount of rhetoric could have achieved. Back aboard the Celestial Spire, Queen Verina addressed Marcus privately, her posture relaxed yet dignified. "You were right, Lieutenant Kane. Strength is not measured solely by physical prowess or technological superiority. It is found in the ability to adapt, to trust, and to rise above fear. Your species has taught mine a lesson we will not soon forget." Marcus nodded, a small smile playing at the corners of his lips. "And yours has reminded us that progress often requires stepping beyond our comfort zones. Perhaps this is the beginning of something greater than either of us imagined." Verina extended her hand, a gesture of profound significance in Zarnixian culture. "Let us build upon this foundation. Together, we may chart a future where cooperation defines our legacy, not conflict." As Marcus shook her hand, he felt a sense of fulfillment unlike anything he'd experienced before. The journey ahead would be fraught with challenges, but for the first time, humanity and the Zarnixians faced those challenges as equals, not as adversaries. In the vast expanse of the cosmos, a new chapter had begun, one written not in the language of conquest, but in the spirit of unity. And somewhere amidst the stars, the echoes of their triumph served as a beacon of hope for all who dared to dream of a better tomorrow.